I'm going to start with this. So I want to remind you that on the actual final day, you cannot write on this paper. So you'll get pounds of scratch paper, and then you'll just you'll do a bubble worksheet. Okay? But obviously for the review, you can write all over it. So they want the second term. Since it's the fourth, you know it's Pascal. So I know that it's going to go 1, 4, 6, 4, 1. Now here's the good thing. All they want is the second term, which means I'm going to focus right here. That's where my focus needs to be. So my A is 3y. Let me put that here. And my B is 1. I'm doing awesome to start. So it's this to the fourth, this to the third, squared first, 0. Who cares? It's 1 to the 0, 1 to the 1, and then 2, 3, 4. I don't care. So I'm focused on this right there, the yellow highlight. So I'm going to do 3y cubed, which is 27y cubed, times 1. 1 to the first is 1, times 4. So 27 times 4 is 108, y to the third. B. Number 2. I'm going to be distributing. Careful, it's really easy to make silly mistakes. And then we have another negative 2p here. Negative 2p and negative 2p is negative 4p plus 14. A is the answer. All right, for this one, I'm going to set it equal to 0, minus 2, x squared minus 6x plus 8. Two numbers that multiply to get 8 and add to 6 are 4 and 2. So I set it equal to 0, and there's my answers. Same thing for number 4. Subtract 3, 6k squared plus 12k minus 42 equals 0. If you look, I feel like that's just a lot, but if I look at 6, 12, and 42, all of them divide by 6, which makes my life easier. K squared plus 2k minus 7 equals 0. I can't think of two numbers that multiply to get 7 and add to 2. So that means D is out, and I'm going to have to do the quadratic formula. Negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared. This is a K, by the way. Minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. I'm going to simplify the radical. Square root of 4. A negative times a negative is a positive. Square root of 32. Tree, 4 rad 2. So then I'm left with negative 2 plus or minus 4 rad 2 over 2. Divide everything by 2. Negative 1, 2. Nothing on the bottom. Negative 1. None of these are the right answer. So let me pause it real quick and check. So here's the problem with going too fast. If you look right here, negative 45 and negative 3 is negative 48. So that's my mistake on that one. So be careful. Don't just circle something because it looks close. That means that should be an 8. And that means I actually don't have to do the quadratic formula. And D happens to be the right answer because two numbers that multiply to get 8 and add to 2 are positive 4 and negative 2, which is negative 4 and 2. I obviously know what I'm doing, but going quickly can yield silly mistakes. Next problem, number 5. I write it 2 times, and I box it out. Negative 2 minus 8i. Negative 2 minus 8i. Multiply, and that's positive 64i squared. But remember, when you have I squared, it really means negative 1. So the positive 64 is really negative 64. So that means that's negative 64, and 4 minus 64 is 60. 16i plus 16i is 32i, and so the answer is C. Careful because B looks close. Number 6, I'm going to box it out as well. 2i. Negative 5 minus 6i, negative 10, negative 12i, negative 10i, negative 12i squared. I squared is really negative 1, so that's positive 12. 12 minus 10 is 2. and negative 10 and negative 12 is negative 22. I. So make sure the negative 22 is with the I, and the 2 is positive. C. Number 7, since it's adding, take the same, put them together. Take the same, put them together. A. Number 8, the reason I don't like 8 is because you can't have an I in the denominator. So if you multiply it by itself, I times I is I squared. I squared is negative 1 times 7 is negative 7. That's in the denominator. And then negative 7 times I is negative 7i. 6i times I is 6i squared, but that's negative 1, which means that's negative 6 over negative 7. If you remember, you can't have a negative in the denominator, so you distribute it to the top. Change. Distribute it to the top. Change. 7i plus 6 over 7. The answer is A. Now in number 9, the I was being multiplied, so I could just multiply by the I and be good. But this one I have to multiply by the conjugate. So I'm going to, well, what I do to the top, I got to do to the bottom. I'll do the top first. Remember, that's a negative 1 times 5i is negative 5i. 5i times 13i is 15i squared. Negative 1, negative 15. I'm going to box this out. Negative 1, negative 3i, negative 1 plus 3i. 1, those cancel. Negative 9i squared, negative 1, positive 9 over 10. I notice they all divide by 5. Negative 1, negative 3, 2, negative 1i minus 3 over 2. A. All right. Last one on the page, write the quadratic equation in factored form. I like this one, it's quadratic. So I know that it is C. Page 1, done.